The link down below has been replaced, but I still urge you to head to the link below, educate yourself, and consider supporting Ukraine financially. All the sources down there have been vetted. Your money will go to the right place. There's a saying. How long can one man stare into the void until the void stares back at them? The exact meaning of that is open to interpretation. You could go insane. You could disappear into the void. You could just choose to keep going. What you're looking at is not a doctored screenshot. This is game. I can control the ship. It's just what you're staring at is pretty much nothing. And that's because there is nothing out there. This is the galaxy's edge. More specifically, I went to the top of the galactic spiral and we are staring upward. And there is nothing above us except those three. That's a lie. There's a lot higher than this. I could go higher, but going higher than this, it starts getting more and more complicated as you go up. Now, we could go to this one, and it would only take a few jumps. And our little ship could do it. But for the sake of this particular video, this is as high as we're gonna go. This one, this star here, you can't even figure out a route to that one. And that's because the highest jump range in this game is like 75. I'm sitting at 61. Sailors of old would stare out into the ocean and wonder what was out there. In fact, there was, at some point in human history, the first human looked out into the ocean and said, I'm gonna find out what's out there. And he got in a boat, and chances are that guy never came back. And chances are the guys that went looking for him may not have come back either. There was an old sailing superstition that if you went out too far, you would fall off the edge of the earth. Now that tale has been misconstrued a multitude of times. There's evidence now to believe that sailors didn't actually believe that. And that Christopher Columbus did not prove that the earth was round, and that the edge of the earth was never really an idea that sailors had. Really, it was just for ease of navigation. If you kept the coastline off to your side, you knew you were going the right way. It wasn't a particularly difficult means of navigation. In fact, a 5-year-old could do it. And here we see ourselves staring at that void. We can't see other galaxies. Our galaxy is drowning out all the light from theirs. Even if everything is behind me. That right there. That is everything. Our galaxy, the Milky Way. It's difficult for sailors of old to fathom the distance across oceans. Just like now, your tiny brain can't even comprehend. Your tiny brain can't comprehend the distance between Earth and Mars. Our tiny brains can barely comprehend the distance between us and our own moon. But the distance between stars is so much more than that. When we play Elite Dangerous, we have a frame shift drive. And the one we have right now takes us 61, almost 62 light years. That's so far. Your brain can't even comprehend that distance. The distance between stars is something unfathomable that we can't even begin to imagine. Mankind only has a grand total of 4 space probes that have left the influence of our sun. Maybe 5 if you count the New Horizons probe that went to have a look at Pluto. And we can't even comprehend that kind of distance. It takes us a full day to get data back from those space probes. And we can't even comprehend that distance. And they're not even 1/100th of the way to the next star. You can visit the Voyager probes in this game. They're not that far from Sol. You can go there. You can do that in this game today. But not even in this game do we have something that can even begin to fathom the distance to the next galaxy over. Andromeda is our closest neighbor in terms of other galaxies. And it is slowly drifting towards us, but not at a rate that we need to worry about. It'll be here in a couple billion, maybe trillion years. You don't need to worry about that. The sun's gonna burn out in another 5, maybe 4. You, your children, and your children's children are gonna be long dead. Sci-fi writers proposed the generation ship. Honestly, now real life people are proposing the generation ship. A ship traveling at less than the speed of light to cover the distance between stars. But even to Alpha Centauri, you're looking at a 10-year journey. Maybe 15. Maybe even longer, depending on how fast you're going. This is a ship, this is a journey that will take multiple lifetimes. And for this game, it's just a short hop over to the next star. When you look at the bubble in this game, do you fathom the distance between those stars? No, because your Anaconda can cross the bubble in like 10 jumps. That's really good comparatively to other ships. You can't, your brain can't even comprehend. Can you even comprehend the distance between our star and Beagle Point? The furthest reaches of the galaxy? No, because even by this game's standards, that's a 2, maybe 3-day drive, depending on how fast you're going. Maybe less. If you don't love the fuel scoop too much. Believe me, there's not much in this game that's more glorious than watching a 7A fuel scoop go to work on a star. Maybe an 8. But at that point, it's overkill. Why have an 8 when you can have something else in that slot? 7 already fills the tank in seconds. How fast do you need to be going? Supercruise caps out at 2,000 times the speed of light. We go faster than the speed of light in this game on the regular. You do that every single day. That's your commute. Even then, the distance between stars is something that it's going to take you a while to get between stars. If you try to go between galaxies, you still can't even fathom that. The distance between galaxies is something that would crash the game with how much black is out there. Just it's something that we can't fathom. You could put that number on a piece of paper and say, this is how far it is, but your brain can't even comprehend how big that is. How tiny we are. How insignificant everything is. How everything is moving. We are on a tiny blue ball, spinning around the sun at 1,000 miles a second. But that sun is just one of billions and billions of stars back there, which are all spinning around the galaxy's center. But even the galaxy itself is hurtling through space at speeds we can't even fathom. Everything in motion. Forever. Expanding ever outward. Where do you think you are? Because you're not where you think you are right now. Where do you think you are in space? Don't try to think of where you are on this planet. You know where you are on this planet. We can fathom that. Where are you right now in terms of everything else? Where are we going? And what's at the end of this? Sometimes I think about the end of everything. The heat death of the universe. Or the big tear. The big crunch has since been disproven. And just, it's mind-numbing to think about just an end to everything. No cycle beginning again, no rebirth of the universe, just 100 trillion years from now, the universe will go completely dark. And whether we like it or not, we are already at the beginning of the end for the universe. It's a scary thing to think about. Just how much nothing there will be. Comparatively, there already is a whole lot of nothing. But just an infinite amount of nothing. 100 trillion years from now, there will be nothing. Nothing will happen. And nothing will continue to happen forever. The universe will be effectively dead. And when the universe dies, nothing happens. It's not something we really need to think about. None of us will be alive to see it. Our children won't be alive to see it, and our children's children won't even need to think about it. Maybe their children will finally reach the point where they'll stop thinking about it. Maybe by then we'll be colonizing Mars. Well, bigger things to think about. By the 3300s in this game, do you really think they're still thinking about that? Or are we trying to figure out how to get to the next galaxy? Or is that what Raxla is? The infamous treasure hunt that everybody eventually goes looking for. Convinced that they've found the needle in the very large haystack. Did they already plan for that? Must we go to another galaxy? You'll read statistics on this game alone that we haven't even explored 1% of what we have. But did they already think of what's outward? We don't even know how many stars we have in our own galaxy. Not an exact estimate, anyway. You ask the developers and they'll be like, oh, it's 100 billion. But that's not the real number, is it? Because you know, it's give or take another billion stars. And 1 billion is already a really big number. So, how long does someone have to stare into the void until the void stares back? I don't know. Me, personally, I got here last night and just left the ship running. Every now and then I glance back at it. You can't help but wonder what's out there. But for now, I'm turning back around.